What's up, everybody? Makell, Makell TV, the dopest show in every dimension. And as you can see, this is what's trending. Joe Budden addresses the removal of his recent podcast episode with Rory and Makell amid rumors that his co-hosts are no longer affiliated with the program. Now, for those who are paying attention, and sorry I'm not on camera right now, but I was having some really bad stomach cramps, and I'm literally bedridden right now. I took some medication. It looks like things are getting better. But listen, I knew this was going to be a problem, okay? By the way, if anybody wants to send me some Dogecoin, boom. I knew this Joe Budden situation was going to be a problem because when Rory and Makell came back, first things first, they were gone for 6 whole weeks. And Joe did have a point when he said, who can disappear from a place for 6 weeks and then come back like it ain't nothing. You know what I mean? And that's what they did, but at the same time, there's a lot of questions right now. Number one, Makell TV, boom. Number one, who does Joe's loyalty lie with? Because for those that don't know, DJ Academics was talking shit about Rory and Makell, and Joe sort of kind of sided with, not necessarily sided with Academics, but Joe continued talking to Academics on a live stream and everything, even after this guy repeatedly disrespected his co-hosts. So the question remains, where does Joe's loyalty lie? Number two, does Joe owe them loyalty? Meaning that I kind of agree with Academics on one point that he made in all his ranting videos, which you can go back and look at that. Just type in Academics versus Rory and Makell. Academics said these guys are just employees, that without Joe they're a nobody. And unfortunately, because they do not have their own podcast, because Rory and Makell do not have something else on the side going on, what Academics says in that aspect is correct. Without Joe, they're kind of nothing. And Joe Budden, by kicking them off and then inviting them back on, only to be dismissive about it, that shows that this is the Joe Budden podcast. It's named the Joe Budden podcast. This isn't the Rory and Makell show. And this whole time, everybody was thinking that, Rory and Makell were quote-unquote non-replaceable. Well, Joe just proved them wrong because, there's a whole bunch of people going off about that. Joe Budden fires Rory on air. I don't think Rory was there, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, these guys were, in fact, disposable. And that's the dilemma. These guys were disposable. They were, quote-unquote, getting too big for their britches. They wanted a gang of money. And yet, Joe was like, nah, this is my show. I'm the one who gets all the money. You get whatever I give you. And that's the essence of this podcast. Now, one thing that I personally noted was the fact that this show, once the 1-year contract with Spotify was over, and I guess Joe got over $1 million for that, he says, we're going to Patreon now. He felt, two things I want to say. Number one, I thought it was odd and strange that Joe Budden felt the need to sort of bare his soul and tell the CEO of Patreon all these details about his childhood. I thought that was weird because I'm like, this guy is the CEO of Patreon. He's not a therapist. Like, why are you telling him all this shit? And then, number two, I did notice that once the contract with Spotify was over and Joe moved to Patreon, that's when everything seemed to go haywire. Literally right after that. So, there's a part of me that's glad I never subscribed to the Patreon, because for those who did subscribe to the Patreon, everything went haywire after that, so they might not, quote-unquote, get their money's worth out of this podcast. Everything went haywire. But that's that, people. Shoot me your thoughts. Tell me what you think's going on with the Joe Budden podcast. I've also said in the back of my mind that there's a chance none of this is real. I'm always a skeptic on things like this. This could all be a publicity stunt. I don't know, but things look shaky. Mark my words. Leave your comments. Makell Bird, Maktown TV. YouTube.com/Maktown TV. That's MAKTOWN TV. Don't forget to hit me up on the web, aded.us/MB. And it's at Makell Bird everywhere. MAKELLBIRD on Twitter, Instagram, you name it, alright? Peace.